Okay, fine. Yes, so at last what we had done, we had converted this column to float data type. We have changed that 14 plus into 15, and we have also treated that null values. Okay. Now next I'm going to this column health indicator. This is also in categories and I have null values here. Correct. So for this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this replace function once again. There's one more function that is fill NA. In that way, you don't have to mention this. You just have to say fill NA. Then according to that, whatever values you want to fill there, you can do that. But I'm using replace function. In replace function, remember always we have to give firstly as parameter as old value, then new value. Here also I'm filling it with the mode. So I'm saying that old value is my null and then replace it with mode and then first you can say first column and replace is equals to 2 means save the changes. Okay. And I simply run this. I got this. Now I don't have any null value here. And for this x1, x2, x3, x4, I'm going to use again label encoder. Same command.
I think you haven't shared the screen. Like code one, yeah.
Your screen is not shown, Priya.
Okay, give me 1 second. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Okay, let me do that away. Okay. So I was talking about this column health indicator. There, if I go for unique function, what unique function will do, it will give you, as the name said, give you the array of the unique values. So I have unique values like x1, x2, and one more, I have nan value here, means null values also. So I'm going to use here replace function. In the replace function, as you know, firstly, we are going to give parameter as old value and then new value. So I'm going to take that mode again. It's not hard and fast rule that we, for replacing null values, we always have to use this mode function. We can use multiple options, mode, median, and even not just mode and median, other options can also be done. I'm using mode here and passing this parameter in place is equals to 2 so that what all changes we have done that can be saved. Then again, if I go to check for this value count, what I can see, okay, I have run this this cell. That's why it's coming like this. If because of this label encoding, guys, this has been done. Because after 45, I have run this cell and then 47 and then 40. Okay. So the values would be like in this way, like x1, x2, x3. And again, to treat that, I'm going to use label encoder from sklet.preprocessing. If I do that, I have the values now. Like I don't have this x1, x2 no more. These 1, 0, 1, 2. These are the values now. Okay. Same like we are going to do that with this column. We had null values in 3 columns. If you remember, guys, 2 we have already treated. This last is left. Holding policy type, replace function, old value, then new value mode, and then in place is equals to true. Treated. Now, if I go and check for this null values, is null.sum, I don't have any null values now. Okay. This is data cleaning part. Checking for again information so that if any object data type is there, I am going to, you can say, go for it. I can see I have all int, float, int, float, int, float. Yes. I don't have any categorical data type now. So this is box plot. What box plot? What is box plot and why we are using it? We are going to use it for treatment of outliers to check where are the outliers. Okay. This box plot is divided into 4 quadrants. This is Q1, this is Q2, Q3, and Q4. Okay. This part in box plot, there is one, you can say formula. Let me show you that. This one. IQR is quadrant 3 minus quadrant 1. Means from this quadrant 3, I'm removing quadrant 1. So I have this data. 1.5 times of this, and then 1.5 times of this. These are my outliers. Any value above and below that, this is my outlier. If it's below to that value, then that would be lower outlier, and here it would be upper outlier. Okay, we are going to treat that. Firstly, I'm checking here for you can say box plot. For this is normal for loop, for column. This is the variable name for column in df data frame dot ilog. Ilog is for you can say, because I don't want my target to be treated in case of outliers. So I'm saying that -1, remove last column, that was my target column. From columns, I want to print the column, like I'm getting here ID. Then I'm saying from Seaborn, do the box plot, and in X variable, this X, I want my DF train column. Let's suppose my first is coming DF ID. So DF train ID column would be represented here, and data. This is the data type, data that should be taken from DF train data set, data frame. Okay. So I'm saying plot dot show. If I run this, what I'm getting in ID, no outlier, city code, no. Yes, in region code, I have outlier. These are the outliers. Accommodation type, RICO insurance, I have 1 because it was a categorical like 0, 1 type. No, that's why it's not an outlier. It won't be treated as outlier. Upper is spouse also, it was in yes, no format. Health indicator, I have 3. There are also 2. So I have 4 to 5 columns in which I have outliers. So this is the function that we have created. The def, when we have to create any function, we use this def keyword. Let's suppose I want to create a function for printing full name. Full name. Okay. So I'm saying here I'll be taking first name. Here I'll be taking last name. And what I want to print first plus last. This is my function. Until and unless I'm not going to call this function, is not going to get executed. So if to run this function, to call this function, what we have to do, we have to call this function name, and in parentheses I have to give this these 2 arguments. Let's suppose if I say Priya, second one is, if I run this, I got this, because in this I said that add my first name plus last name. So the string has been added. Okay. So like I'm creating one function for outliers. In outlier, what I'm saying, go and check out for upper outliers, and wherever you found these outliers, replace it with upper value. Let's suppose my lower value was 10 and the upper value was 50. So I'm saying that any value below to this 10 means any value below to this 10. This is my lower outlier. And any value above to this 50, this is my upper outlier. Okay. I'm saying that where you found this, you can say outlier, replace it with what? Replace it with upper value. Replace it with 50 means make this outlier at this 50. And if you found lower outlier, make it change it up to lower. Means if you get any value less than 10, make it as 10. This np.where function, we are going to use that. What it say, np.where says that numpy.where, it says go for the condition. What's the condition? Then if condition is true, what they have to do? If condition is false, this is np.where function. This is the condition. If you found the value greater than upper, if you found any value greater than this 50, what they have to do? They have to do this. True means change this value up to 50. And if not, make it the same. Let's suppose if the value came here for as, let's say 40. Okay. It will go in this. Value is less than 40. Less than upper, it will make the value as 40 only. It's not going to do any changes. If the value was, let's suppose 55, it's going to make it as 50. Understood, guys? Any doubt or any query? Okay. So this is my function, and now I'm going to call this function. And when we have to call, we have to use the same, you can say, name of the function, and then in variable, in you can say in this argument, I'm passing my data frame and I'm storing this result in df1. Okay. Now if I check out for the outliers in df1, because now my data frame is the name of df1. If I check for it, what I see in region code, I had outliers. It's not there now. I don't have any outliers in health indicator also, and Rico premium also we had outliers. So now you can see our outliers has been treated. We don't have any outliers. Next step we are going to do is we are going to now our model is ready. We have treated outliers. We have we can say treated our null values. Null values are also done. Now you can say categorical values are also, we can say they has also been transferred to numerical. Okay. Now what we have to do now, we have to train the model. We have to do x and y. Like x would be my only independent variables, like my variables, and y would be my target. So in y, I'm saying that from df1 take this is my target response, and in x drop function, I'm saying that from df1 drop this response, and xs is 1. Xs 1 means go to check for this as row wise. X is 0 and 1, there are two values in x, so I have now only variables. If I see in x, I don't have my target variable. In y, I'll be having my target variable. Now I'm going to use this train test split. I don't know if I have run the cell or not. Okay. From sklearn.model selection, we will import train test split, and then from train test split, I'll be passing x my, you can say, variables, y my target column. Test size is 0.3. That means I'm saying that give 70% data for testing and keep 30% data for sorry, this is for training, and 30% for testing, which means I'm saying that like for machine, let's suppose this machine is also like a kid, a small you can say kid. So when we make him learn anything, let's suppose if I show you one mobile phone, like how we human recognize it's a mobile phone, because we have seen mobile phones multiple times. Let's say if you are a kid and I'm showing that let's see, this is mobile phone, but you will recognize that this, it's a form of triangle, camera is there, print scanner is there, finger scanner, black screen cover, like this. If I just show you one mobile phone, would you be able to remember it? That kid would be remember it for a long time? No. Like let's suppose if I show him the separate mobile with separate model of, you can say, mobile with different color, the kid will won't be able to, we can say, identify that this is mobile. Correct. That means for machine we have to give ample number of data to train the model. Like yes, this is pattern. If the mobile is in blue color, also it can be there in white color, blue color. Camera is not like it's not fixed that it could be of the 13 megapixel, it can be of different size cameras, we can say location can be different, correct? So multiple things can be done. Like way I'm saying that I'm training my model with 70% of the data. I'm saying that you take 70% of the data, learn the pattern for this and this value, I'm getting this target. Okay. And rest 30% I'm keeping it for testing. That would be unseen data to take the test of that kid, that whether the kid has learned properly or not, that whether the machine has learned properly or not. We are going to take a test. For that, we will be giving unseen data that is not present in this training data. Okay. So for that, I'm using test size as 30, means 30% would be for test size. And this is random state. Random state is nothing but just a numerical value. It can be anything. What it will do, it will freeze the train test split. See, if I remove this argument, this parameter here, what it will do every time when this model will run, every time it's going to do the random split. But because of this random state 4, I'm going to freeze this. Okay. So if I see my train test split, this is my train data. This is my training data with all, you can say, variables. This is my target. If indexing, you can match 39,491 for this. This is your target. Okay. If I see this is for testing data, you can match it. This is for testing data. This is X train, X test, Y test. Now what we are going to use, we are going to use decision tree classifier here, as it was a classification problem. So we are going to use classifier, and from sklearn.tree we can import this. And this I'm using matrix for checking the accuracy of my model. Okay. For this, what all we have, you can see imported from here. I'm just storing it into DT. And then to train the model, I'm going to use fit function, df.fit. We will fit the model with both X train and Y train, because in this way only a machine will be able to learn that for this and this value of X train, this is my Y train. It's going to learn the pattern. And I'm doing the prediction on this X test. Okay. Now this is my, you can say, variable that is storing the values that has been predicted by the machine. Predict test. If I check out for accuracy, how we call for accuracy, the matrix that we have imported dot accuracy score, and then I'm passing my predicted value that has been given by the model, comma Y test. Y test, my, you can say, unseen data was, it was for machine, but I have split my data into 70-30. So this is my 30% of the Y split. That was the actual answer of this. So if I run that, okay, my model is quite bad in it. It's 66%. So 66 is my accuracy. And if I check out for precision and recall, for precision, we have here 79, 77, F1 score is 78. So this is our model. We can see for confusion matrix also. Then I have used here grid search CV. This is, you can say, advanced, you can say, level for that, where it will do hyperparameter tuning. And if I check for accuracy here, hope here accuracy will be good. Grid search CV model, it will take some time.
And what grid search CV will do for us? Like, what is the difference between that?
Actually, in this case, we can say you can say doing hyperparameter tuning, like I'm defining, you can say, variables, and it will automatically select the important, you can say, columns, and it will do by itself. Like here in this, I haven't passed any parameter in that. Otherwise, in decision tree, when you are passing, you have to put multiple parameters, like let's suppose maximum depth of the tree. What is decision tree? Let's say decision tree, it would be a sort of normal tree. How can I show it? Let me show it on Paint. It would be the root node. Okay. Then from there, it's going to.
It's not visible. Can you please share that?
Okay. Okay. 1 minute. Now is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. So this is my root node, and then further tree, like as a name said, there will be branches like way. Let's say this. Let's say this was my column 1. This was a tree, let's suppose. So let's say if I want to decide the length, what happens was the, you can say, main disadvantage of decision tree is it sometimes do overfitting. What is overfitting? Means my model is performing very well on this training data, but it's not performing on testing data. Means For training, it has gone in very depth to learn that. Means it's going to, we can say, going to each and every multiple lens would be there, splits would be there. So in order to do that, we can pass the multiple parameters like maximum depth up to this, and branches, like the multiple things can be done. I haven't passed that because it's even if I talk about in reality, this accuracy, this 66% reality is good for any, you can say, real-time data. But yes, it can be improved. Multiple things can be done. I haven't done that. You can pass, even you can refer to this sklearn library to check out for decision tree parameters.
Also, there is a technique to avoid overfitting in decision tree. We have to do pruning. So how we can approach towards that?
Yeah, sure.
Hello?
Yes, yes. Give me 1 minute. Here you can see that. Let me complete this first. Maximum depth we can decide. Splitter we can say decide minimum.
It's
Sample
not visible. Yeah.
Reshare your screen, Priya, once.
Yeah, sure. Is it visible now?
Yes.
I have shared this link over the chat also. You can find it there. This is scikit-learn, you can say, official page for decision tree classifier. Purpose of this is just like there are multiple parameters. So just giving you overview of it. Criteria can be there. There are two criteria in decision tree. We go for Gini or we can go for entropy. Okay. By default, it's Gini. Like where there are parameters like splitter, maximum depth. Depth is this, like in tree when we were going down and down. This is just, you can say, one branch. We can go multiple times there. Like multiple depth would be there. So that can be controlled. This also we can do that in order to, you can say, stop that overfitting. Okay. Mean sample split, like minimum sample splits also we can control. These are also the methods to do that hyperparameter pruning. Minimum leaf, sample leaf. From these ways also we can control this overfitting. But yes, this is the disadvantage of a decision tree if I see all over, that it usually give overfit model. My screen is also visible to you?
Yes.
Okay. So this was for hackathon. Actually, there was a separate data that was given to us, testing data. From that, we have to do the prediction, and it was to be shared in a form of, you can say, separate file. So this is for that. This was the final submission file. Let me show you this function. This is for to create whatever data frame I'm having there. I'm making it to a CSV file, and for that, what I'm using .toCSV function, and this is the file name .csv. So here is my this file. That was a part of, you can say, hackathon. In that, this was the ID. This was the customer ID. And on that part, what prediction we got, we have to predict that. This is index. We can ignore that index here also. So this was a data set, guys. If you have any doubt or query, like I'll be sharing this file also if you want. Otherwise, I can simply share my Kaggle link. From there also, you can browse that. One second. Here you can see 9 codes are available. You can refer this also.
ये पकड़ो चार्जिंग